Welcome to Rathalos Watch. Today I am going to be going over a very extra juicy and spicy leak that talks about returning monsters from Monster Hunter Wilds along with some other good information. This info was leaked by a Chinese source on Baidu, which is a Chinese social media platform, so everything is in Chinese. Thankfully, one of our community members in the Rathalos Watch Discord who speaks Chinese translated it and went over it with me, and let me tell you, this leak is actually kind of wild. If you are interested in joining our community, the link is in a pinned comment. Before diving into the details, I want to make it very clear that I do not have any insider info on returning monsters, nor am I connected to the leaker in any way. I am just a passionate Monster Hunter content creator who loves covering Monster Hunter Wilds and talking about monsters. You all know that. I won't lie or make things up for views. That is not how I run this channel, guys. I'm always very honest with you and transparent. All of this could be real or just a giant troll, but it seemed interesting enough to share, especially since some of it seems quite credible. Or maybe the leaker just got lucky with their quote-unquote guesses. Anyways, let's get into it. I am not going to list all the monsters right away. We'll go through them one by one. It is very important that you listen to all the information first before we dive into the monsters individually. First off, this information was posted back in August, before Gamescom presentations and before the weapon showcases. The leaker claimed that Great Sword, Longsword, Sword and Shield, and Dual Blades are the most popular weapons, and that they would receive significant gameplay changes and be split apart a certain way throughout the weapon showcases. This individual also discussed the Longsword and said that after performing a Humbreaker, you are able to also do a Rapid Dance Blade move. Once the Longsword showcase was released, that turned out to be true. You cannot just guess something like that ahead of time. That is not even an educational guess. The only way you can nail something like that is if you are told about it or you've seen it ahead of the public release. He then proceeds to say that if you guard a monster's attack perfectly, then you will trigger a clash, assuming that the weapon you guard with has a shield, which includes Sword and Shield, Gun Lance, and Lance. This also turned out to be true. In regards to the locales, he stated that the game will have a total of 5 locales, but did not state what they are. Assuming that this is true, that proves that each of the 5 circles on the Monster Hunter Wilds logo is a locale, just like the community expected it to be, or I should say speculated. Based on how things have been happening with the locales, I am going to assume that each of the locales has an element that it is tied to. Windward Plains is tied to thunder with Radau. Scarlet Forest is tied to water with Uthuna. I'm going to guess there will be an ice element that is tied with the ice apex in ice locale, and then there will be a fire apex in some fiery or volcanic region. And I'm going to assume that the 5th locale will be related to the dragon element or be related to the elder dragons. Now for the monsters, the fun part. The leaker started revealing the returning monsters in the exact order they've been shown to us, which is absolutely insane. The first one on the list was Young Kutku, who was revealed a few days ago in the extended TGS trailer. The second monster listed was Congalala, who we saw recently during TGS livestream demo in the Scarlet Forest along with Uthuna and Lullabarina. Guys, you can't just guess the order of the returning monsters just like that. That is kind of insane to me, okay? Now, this is where it gets really crazy. According to the source, the next returning monster to be revealed for Monster Hunter Wilds is Nerscylla. If this actually happens, guys, I am going to completely lose it. Because Nerscylla was the last monster that I covered in my Shoot X Monster Return to Monster Hunter Wilds video series. Now that I think about it, it would make complete sense for Nerscylla to be revealed at the next Capcom's showing, which is at Paris Games Week on October 23rd. And here's why. That is a week before Halloween. And what does Halloween have in common with Nerscylla? She is an arachnid, or rather a spider to be exact. And we all love decorating our homes with a bunch of spiders webs. And it's kind of a horror-themed monster. I know this sounds like ultra copium, but this kind of lines up with the Paris Game Week event and the timing of marketing for Halloween themes over on social media. This will either age very poorly or age like fine wine. We're gonna have to wait and see. But honestly, I don't think I will be that surprised if it does turn out to be true. The 4th monster is a fanged beast from the 2nd generation that I've already discussed in my series, and I'm talking about everyone's favorite crazy snow monkey, Blangonga. Honestly, with Congalala back, it wouldn't be surprising to see Blangonga return as well. Plus, a tundra style locale seems like an obvious fit. I'm not sure if this will be another monster that is shown at Paris Games Week or at a later date, but as far as I'm concerned, there are no video game events after Paris Games Week until December 12th, which is the Video Game Awards, where Monster Hunter Wilds made its debut last year. Considering that Blangonga is a snow monster that resides in an ice locale, it would make sense for him to either show up at the Video Game Awards. However, Capcom normally showcases multiple monsters at once instead of just one, unless they're splitting these apart a certain way. Perhaps Blangonga could also make an appearance in Paris Games Week along with Nerscylla on the 23rd of October. You have to remember that at the State of Play, we saw 3 new monsters, and then Young Kutku at TGS, followed by Congalala the next day, also at TGS. That is a total of 5 monsters in a span of a week. However, 3 of them were new monsters and 2 were returning, so who knows how Capcom is splitting up their reveals. The 5th monster mentioned is everyone's favorite predatory eagle and the flagship of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, Seregios. I've covered him before, and his return would not surprise me either. He's a great monster and would fit perfectly into the new dynamic ecosystem and ecology. I can totally see him swooping in and snatching smaller monsters while you're just minding your own business. A lot of people really like Seregios, and with how familiar Monster Hunter Wilds is to Monster Hunter 4, with all the throwbacks, I think it's time for him to come back on new gen hardware. The 6th monster is a bird wyvern that many people love to hate, and since Nerscylla is making a comeback, it makes sense that this one would too. It is Gypceros. I mean, how could Nerscylla exist without Gypceros to hunt and wear its hide? It just wouldn't fit the lore. Monster Hunter Wilds is all about immersion, so this makes sense. If Nerscylla is indeed shown at Paris Games Week, I feel like Gypceros would be revealed along with her at the same place. These kind of go together, but again, I'm just guessing. I don't actually know anything. The 7th monster is the one that's everyone's been asking for a very long time, that made this channel what it is today, and the one featured in my very first Shoot X Monster Return to Monster Hunter Wilds. And yes, you've guessed it, Lagaicrus. This doesn't surprise me at all either. Apparently, he'll be the last monster to be revealed to the public, which makes sense. Revealing the most requested monster right before launch will be a fantastic way to boost sales. Plus, seeing Duna and the water physics in action, Lagaicrus showing up and causing chaos seems inevitable. We already know that Valhalla is living proof of the Leviathan skeleton working properly now, and Capcom even confirmed it themselves during the Gamescom livestream demo. And last but not least, all of the returning monsters is indeed Gore Magala along with Shagara Magala. Frenzy Virus is returning, and there are no Monster Hunter 4 apexes or anything like that according to the leaker. This kind of makes sense to me, considering how many throwbacks there are already to Monster Hunter 4 and Monster Hunter Wilds. It would make sense for the ecology to play out with a whole Frenzy Virus thing and the story set up. Perhaps Arkveld got infected with a Frenzy Virus and is going on a rampage destroying villages. Again, this is just my prediction and a guess, but according to the leaker, Gore Magala is playing a big part in the game's ecology. Now we are going to be talking about post-launch monsters that are now part of the base game. According to the leaker, these could come in a free title update, DLC quest, or a G-Rank expansion. He doesn't know which ones. He just knows that they're coming back at some point in time after the game releases. One of them is one of the Fated 4, Mitsune. Another is the most popular monster of all time, ranked number 1 in the Hunter's Choice during the 20th Monster Hunter anniversary, and that's everyone's favorite wolf, Zinogre. The reason I think there might be some credibility here is because this information was shared way back in August before all the major events including Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show. Plus, they were spot on with Young Kutku and Congalala being the first 2 returning monsters revealed. The fact that he also correctly talked about certain game mechanics such as the longsword and perfect pairing with shield weapons is kind of insane. If we assume everything here is true, I think the list of returning monsters is solid. Nerscylla and Seregios are fantastic additions. A lot of people love them, and fans who started in the 5th generation never got to experience them. I know a ton of people want to see a next generation Gore Magala with Shagara Magala, and with how Monster Hunter Wilds is building up, I think it's the perfect time to bring them back in all the glorious Ultra HD fidelity and visuals. Zinogre was in Monster Hunter World Iceborne and Monster Hunter Rise, so it makes sense to bring him back later. Mitsune was also in the base game of Rise, so he doesn't need to return immediately. Unfortunately, there's no info on Gammoth, so her fate is still up in the air. Overall, this is an interesting leak, but I advise you to take everything here with a huge grain of salt. It could just be a well-crafted fake with some lucky guesses. We'll have to wait and see if it's true. If Nerscylla and Blangonga are the next 2 returning monsters that are being revealed in that exact order, then I'd say this leak is 100% legit. Fellow hunters, let me know what you all think about this leak and if you believe it has any credibility. Whether the information is real or not, would you be happy with this list of returning monsters to begin with? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe with notifications turned on. Peace out and happy hunting.